Oh great, I cannot believe that we have to do 15 pages of homework, and that the assignment is due tomorrow at the beginning of second period.
I know, right? Mr. Wilson has got to be one of the hardest teachers at this school, assigning us this much homework and expecting us to have it completed by tomorrow. This does not make any sense whatsoever. And I have so many other things going on that I don't think I can get this done in such a short amount of time.
I agree. Why doesn't he at least give us a week to get started on the assignment? He is one of the hardest teachers at this school. Besides, my dad and I watch Shining Time Station every afternoon.
Shining Time Station? What's that? I never heard of it before.
It's a preschool show that aired on PBS during the late 80s and early 90s. And it features segments from Thomas and Friends. My dad really likes that show, and we watch episodes just about every afternoon.
Brian, did I just hear you say that you watch Shining Time Station and Thomas and Friends?
Yes, Miss Abby. Why do you ask in the first place? This should not be any of your business.
Yeah. Why even bother asking Brian if he watches kids' shows?
Well, Brian is watching shows that are made for preschoolers and kindergartners, and he is in the 8th grade. And 8th graders don't watch preschool shows anymore.
Miss Abby, wait there just a minute. Does it bother you that I am watching Shining Time Station with my dad, and I am in the 8th grade?
I don't know if you have realized this. Shining Time Station is an old show that used to air on PBS during the 80s and 90s. And Brian showed me a few episodes. I personally prefer Shining Time Station over Coco Melon. And besides, a lot of grown-ups are watching older episodes of Sesame Street.
I don't care. Brian is an 8th grade student, and he needs to realize that he is too old to be watching those shows, because they're for babies and toddlers only. I don't allow middle schoolers to be watching baby shows, even if they're from the 80s.
We don't have time to discuss this any longer. Roger and I have homework to get done. Come on, let's get going.
Hold it right there, I'm not done talking to you. Come back here this instant.
Hey Brian, how was your day at school?
It was okay, I guess, apart from Mr. Wilson assigning us 15 pages of homework that have to be completed by tomorrow at the beginning of second period.
You've got to be kidding me. He expects you to have it done by tomorrow?
Yes, unfortunately.
Well then, I guess we're going to have to request a schedule change. This is going to take up so much time that you won't be able to complete your other assignments.
The deadline for a schedule change is this Friday, so we have to do that as soon as possible.
Hey Brian and Catherine.
Hey Dad.
Hey Dave, Brian has a 15-page homework assignment that needs to get done no later than tomorrow at the beginning of second period. And he's not going to have the time to finish his other assignments.
That's very unusual. We're going to have to request for a schedule change very soon.
There's the doorbell.
You're not expecting anyone, are you?
No, I am not. Guess we'll have to answer the door.
Seriously? What are you doing at our house?
Well, you and your friend just walked away from me when I wasn't finished lecturing you.
Miss Abby, what is going on here?
You want to know what's going on? I'll tell you. Brian is an absolute man-child.
I beg your pardon. But Brian is very well behaved, and he gets very good grades. In fact, he is one of the top students at his school.
What exactly did he do to make you upset? Can you explain?
Well, he watches baby shows while he is 13 years old. Perhaps it would be a good idea to send him all the way back to preschool where he belongs.
Wow, I cannot believe you actually followed me to my house, just so that you can continue lecturing me about how I am too old to be watching Shining Time Station, when in fact, my dad and I watch episodes from that show almost every afternoon. And that show is from the late 80s and early 90s, and doesn't air on PBS anymore.
What do you mean, Brian?
Well, when Roger and I were leaving the school to go home, she overheard our conversation, and she approached us, and started to lecture to both of us about how we're not supposed to be watching kids' shows anymore. And we did not want to deal with that.
Exactly, and I found it very inconsiderate of you to just walk away from me when I was lecturing you. You should learn to show me some respect because I am a teacher.
Oh, for the love of Dave and Busters. Can't you just leave Brian alone?
I beg your pardon.
You heard us right, entitled Karen.
We cannot believe that you would just stop Brian from walking home from school and shame him just for watching Shining Time Station. My husband gets his inspirations from that show to do kids videos on YouTube.
He is 13 years old, and he's an 8th grader.
And so what?
We watched the show because I wanted to share my childhood memories with him.
And more importantly, you need to mind your own business, and find better things to do, like grade your students' homework assignments, help them prepare for exams. Don't go around shaming people over what they watch on TV.
Oh well, I don't think you two are good parents. Allowing Brian to disrespect his teachers and watch shows that are only for babies and toddlers. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I think I'm going to give both of you a lecture so that you can teach Brian a very valuable lesson.
Now you just listen here. Dave and I good parents, and Brian always respects us and his teachers. But why should he do what some entitled Karen tells him, just because I let him watch kid shows from 30-some years ago? Now, I suggest you get off of our property, and I am going to have to report you to the school principal if you bother Brian again. Now, go on your way and leave us alone.
Cannot believe how disrespectful people are these days.
I think I should report you to the principal first thing tomorrow when I get to school.
Miss Abby, we need to have a very important discussion. Brian, you can go to your homeroom class.
What do you want, Principal?
Well, the way you were bothering Brian and Roger yesterday afternoon was totally unacceptable. You were giving him an unnecessary lecture about what he can and cannot watch on TV, and not to mention, you followed Brian to his house so that you could keep on bothering him.
But he needs to learn some respect. And he is too old for any baby show, no matter if it's from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, or from 2023. A baby show is a baby show, and Brian is 13 years old.
That is enough, I don't want to hear any of this. You need to learn to mind other people's business, not to mention, Brian isn't in your class anymore because he's now in the 8th grade. What you did is against school policies. And so, I am going to have to make a tough decision. Miss Abby, I am going to have to let you go from your teaching position at TheGoAnimate Middle School. So you can gather your belongings and leave campus.
How could you do such a thing? I deserve to teach here, and you should be giving Brian an in-school suspension or something.
Did you not hear what I just said? I said, gather your belongings and leave the school, now.
Okay, fine, just you wait. I want you to do something about Brian's behavior.